We're doing advanced troubleshooting today. We've been asked for it a lot, so we decided like, hey, let's deliver this. We've been getting a ton of questions around this, so we're like, let's go. We're gonna do it on Tech Tuesday. So the only thing, you guys are all on mic, right? So you're all on. You can all talk. You can chat with us, whatever you want. The one thing I will ask you to do for me, if you can, we 1,000% want questions, or maybe things that you want to know about specifically, but let's try to keep like specific tickets themselves. Maybe we do situational things that can help the group, but let's stay away from like specific tickets that you have going on, but we can definitely talk about scenarios or things like that, if that's cool. Just to kind of make it so that the whole group can benefit from this. So
Sure.
cool. If you don't know me, though, my name's Jaime. I am the manager of onboarding and growth at Diagnostics, and we put on this little Tech Tuesday once a month, and I have some special guests with me, and you might have known them from other webinars or even from talking to them on the phone, but I do have Alejandro, and he is our tech support manager. So Alejandro, if you want to wave and say hi. And then I also have our all-star, Eric Bruce. Eric, I don't even know what your fancy title is besides Mr. Fix-It around here. Eric unfortunately doesn't have his camera going, but he can hear you and communicate with you. But Eric, you're what, a senior engineer,
I
tech
have no idea.
engineer?
I think I'm an astronaut.
Right.
No, I'm tier 2 support.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, he's an all-star in my book, no matter what fancy title we give him. But these two gentlemen are going to kind of help me roll through this presentation. So I'm going to check the chat real quick and see what I got. Nothing crazy. Oh, hey, Richard. Yep. Well, feel free to chat, Richard. If you have any questions, I'll be checking it. Richard is cameraless and micless as well. So, all right. So let's get on with it. Advanced troubleshooting. So today's agenda, what we're going to try to go through, and we might get through it all, we might not. We'll probably end up elaborating on this and having a part 2. But we're going to talk about, why we wanted to present this to you or get you guys involved in this. We're definitely going to cover devices today, which was a request from a lot of partners from our Tech 101 training that we have monthly now. We're going to talk about network, and we're going to talk about components of a SIP log, and then just kind of things that you can pluck out of a SIP trace to help you identify maybe issues quickly. We have some resources for you at the end because, of course, we're recording this. You're going to get a copy of the recording if you have to jump off, and you're going to get a copy of this presentation deck so you can use the resources at the end to click the links or anything you want. So, and then we'll have some Q&A if we have some left over, but feel free to ask questions and we'll give you answers throughout this whole call. You ready, guys?
Ready.
All right.
Go.
So why did we want to do this with you guys? Obviously, our goal is the same as your goal always, and it's getting to resolution quickly, right? At the end of the day, you are a partner of ours, and all of us are more than aware that most of the things that you need from us is because you have a customer behind that. And all of our goal is to get resolution quickly for you and your customer, more importantly. Part of this is a lot of partners have been asking us to give them tools that they can help themselves, right? So we want to give you this to help you help yourself. We also want you to know what the information we ask for, why we ask it, how that information gets used, how we use it for diagnostic, and then just essentially how we troubleshoot together as a team. Team meaning Ringlogix and you guys as our partners. So device troubleshooting. This was a heavy request topic for you know, from partners regarding, you know, more advanced troubleshooting. Now, I never want to start a call right at the end of the topic, so we're going to start at the beginning, right? Um, these are a list of supported devices, you know, that from that NetSapiens endpoint manager, right? So in short, I got all tongue tied there. In short, these are the devices that can be auto provisioned. Now, we know when auto provisioning does what it's supposed to do, right? Your life is great. The reason we're having this call and talking about devices is you guys want to know the things that you can do when a device A can't be auto provisioned, maybe needs to be manually provisioned, or what kind of troubleshooting efforts you can do yourself, right? But I wanted to start at the beginning. These are the devices that can be auto provisioned. We always like to talk about, you know, why auto provisioning is the way to go. And Alejandro, I know that you're a pro at this slide. Between you and Eric, do you guys want to kind of talk about like why that's the best way just to get started?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Auto provisioning. Well, first and foremost, we offer a basic config to the device. And that's when we can back it up and we can look at it and troubleshoot it. Whereas a manually provisioned device is just registration. It doesn't, we're not giving that device any config information. So it's not so much supported as a manual device, whereas auto provisioning is something that we can get involved with without problem. So that is the most important part, is to try and always auto provision over manually provision.
Okay. So Eric, like what's some of the reasons why you wouldn't be, oh, I'm sorry. Were you hopping in, Alejandro?
Yeah. I wanted to chime in real quick, and I
Yeah.
wanted to tell you why we need exactly like Jamie was getting ahead of me on thinking on why we need to do this, and the explanation is relatively simple, guys. So, um, the 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 difference between a manually provisioned device versus an auto provisioned device is that if we have auto provision, you have the opportunity to register it with an SRV, and SRVs have a very cool way to, let's say, to find your device, right? Currently, we have 3 cores, and we have the same amount of provisioning devices, provisioning servers, we call them, sorry. So we have 3 provisioning servers and 3 cores, so they go 1 to 1, and the provisioning is in charge of, like Eric said, grabbing the configuration, and then the core is in charge of registering the device. So if you do manually provision on any other device that you have, it's just going to look for the core. And we will not be able to see it there so easily. I mean, yes, we will see it, but we will be able to spot it real quick if it's a manually provisioned device. And if it is, there is a downside to it. The downside is that if one of those devices is pointing to one core specifically, if that core goes down, or the data center burns or whatever, something out of the normal and usual thing that usually happens, then if you have one or more or 100 devices in that core, then you're done, right? Yeah, your productivity will cease and you will not be able to be productive to operate, and that's the whole consequence. On the other hand, if you have auto provision devices with SRV, this is a very cool thing because the SRV is like it's like a tree. You have the main record, and that main record will look for the 3 other cores, and then it'll look parallelly for the 3 other NDP devices. So what it'll do is that it'll try to register and look against the other servers for whatever, if the NDP goes down, then it'll send you to another one. If the core goes down, then it'll send you to another one, and it'll be playing with those permutations that you have. So you have, 3i permutations, let's say. So you have a lot of combinations in which the devices can move around. But if you manually provision it, then you only have one. And that's the versus of each and every one of those, let's say.
Cool.
Correct.
Jason, I think you raised your hand. Did you have a question?
Sorry, it was an accidental click.
Oh, that's okay. I got all excited because you were like raising your hand and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's cool. Maybe you'll have a question in a little bit. Yeah, Eric, what were you gonna
I'll
say?
work on it.
Okay, good.
Nothing. Alejandro covered it real well. You know,
Good.
again, preferably everything should be auto provisioned, with the exception of, you know, your occasional ATAs that you're having problems auto provisioning. You can manually provision those. Those devices are basic. They're easy to get to and easy to manually provision.
Well, and that's what I was gonna ask you, honestly, Eric. Like, what are some reasons, like, what are some scenarios that we wouldn't auto provision? You know, let's just say, like, why would we even do that when this is so easy? So ATAs you brought up. Can you
Mhm.
think of like a couple other like examples of, you know, why you would manually provision something?
Well, some of them are just have issues auto provisioning. To be quite frank, well, one of them is what is the paging devices that we use?
Algos.
Algos,
Algos,
yeah,
yeah.
Algos. Some will auto provision, some other models do not. So sometimes you have to actually force it to provision manually.
And yeah, and I know that you guys don't usually do this because, you know, it's easier to get the device out of the box and then connect it and then provision it and then that's it. But a very good, let's say, a best practice would be to start upgrading the firmware for that, because sometimes the algo models, the ATAs, and some other devices that might be a little old, they are still being supported by their manufacturers. And what they do is that they upgrade the firmware, and the firmware they upgraded to make it more similar to the newer phones, the newer SIP 2.0 phones. And in that upgrade, most of the times they have added the auto provision tab. So you have a new tab where you can auto provision the device, so you can avoid all of the hassle and everything. So it would be a good best practice if you start upgrading the firmware on those devices. They have very good, cool features.
Correct.
And yeah, Erin asked, and hi, by the way, Erin, how are you? Asked about, do we know which algos auto provision? And so I actually just was kind of I thought I had put algo in this list, but so I'll be real honest with you. We have a list of devices in the knowledge base that auto provision. However, are we maybe as diligent as we should be about updating that list sometimes? Probably not. The best place that you can see anything that's in your drop down, right? So if we want to go peek at it really quickly too, I have no problem. Let me find let's see. Let me escape out of here. But I will tell you that, and we try to keep it updated, like I said, but sometimes we get excited and add new devices. But let me get logged in here and I'll actually just go into our RingLogix HQ account, which I might get in trouble for, but I'm going to go there anyways. And I'll show you. So let's go find me, because we'll, of course, mess with my extension instead of somebody else's. So when you go to phones and we go to add phone here, these should be the ones that auto provision, right, guys?
Correct.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah. So just so you know, so you have your, you know, these are the different algo models that auto provision.
Yeah, and like Alejandro was mentioning, sometimes it's very contingent on what firmware they're running. For example, some of the newer firmwares don't populate the outbound proxy correctly on a specific device. The fix is just downgrading the firmware. One of the things to bear in mind is you never really want to upgrade to the latest and greatest firmware, because that's going under the assumption that the platform is also going to recognize that as the latest and greatest firmware, rather than the revision before that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
I get it. Does everybody else get it?
Someone unmuted me. I'm not exactly sure if I'm supposed to talk or just send my
You
question.
are
Oh,
here.
talk.
There you are.
Talk. Yeah, no, I unmuted all you guys. Tech
Uh,
Tuesday, we let you
so,
talk and collaborate.
I'm so sorry. I came a little late. I just
That's
joined.
okay.
But I have
You're
some of my
good.
guys. As you know, we provide tech support. We're the first line of defense. Our call center for all of our clients. And my question is, has anyone been able to provision 8301, which is the paging adapter? That's what most of the time I use or we use. I know it's there. I've tried one time, it didn't work, and since then I've been trying to, look for like different ways to do it. But if someone has been able to do it, then I'll take his word for it, and I'll give it another hint.
Guys, do you have any advice?
I mean, it should be auto provisionable, but once you actually try that, we would log into the device and see what settings are manipulated, because some of them, again, perfect example is the outbound proxy. You try to register a phone, it doesn't register. Well, gee whiz, what is the problem? And we can log into the phone and we see that the outbound proxy is either not populated or is populated incorrectly. And
That is correct.
that is because of the firmware that it's running.
Mm.
So adjusting that firmware either down or likewise going up can resolve that issue. So it kind of varies and it can change because everything is very dynamic. Remember, firmwares are always moving up the ladder. And in doing so, there can be problems with that. They have to be addressed one by one. So I'm not sure what the issue is with the 8301 without looking at it physically, but I'm sure that it was definitely auto provisionable at some point.
Yeah, and Carl did confirm on, thanks, Carl. Carl confirmed on the
Yeah.
chat that he's got several of them that auto provisioned are running. So my advice would be to try again, like you said. If it doesn't auto provision, submit a support ticket and let our team help you take a look at that, and like we'll kind of pinpoint. Maybe you'll learn something in this call where you might be able to check it out yourself. We got some surprises at the end, but where we can show you in the SIP log, what the firmware is, but I guess you'd have to be able to make a call. But our team's would help you with that regardless. So
Of
I
course.
appreciate it. Thank you,
Yeah, and
everyone.
there's a little bit of, yeah, and there's a little bit of a tricky situation, and I know it's a pain, like I said. I know it's a pain to do all of this hassle because, it would be ideal to get the device out of the box and be able to register and all that. But most of the times reading the release notes of the firmware actually gives you an idea of what's going on or what they fixed or what they were having a problem with. Because in the release notes, you see if, they had a problem with the auto provisioning, with the outbound proxy, and just like Eric said, right? Most of the times the version before the latest one is the one that actually contains the fix that you want. So it's all about playing. And I know that you guys, I see the Q&As and I see that some are able to register it, some others are not able to register it. And then it's like we said, right? If they don't have the right firmware, it's kind of like a hit or miss. But sometimes, just like Eric said, is all about to call us and we need to take a look at the device itself and check what are the settings that we have. I guess that maybe, Jamie, we can put up another KB about what settings should be good for, all of these ATAs and what should be in the outbound proxy with the help of Eric and all that. We'll try to work on that, but for now, yeah, that's the best recommendation, guys.
cool. And now Lee brought up a good point here. Thanks, Lee. So Lee said, hey, I was able to manually provision an 88201. And there are going to be times where we're going to manually provision a device, right? It's inevitable that in some cases that's going to happen. What can our partners do when they have to manually provision a device to make sure that it still follows SRV? Because there's something they can do, right, in the device that makes sure that you're still following like our active geo redundant plan. I think that would be something cool. You guys have noticed, I'm sure you've heard, we did major upgrades on all of our data centers. So we have Miami, Dallas, and San Jose. So San Jose was new, so it got the benefit of getting like all the new equipment and everything like that. But we did retire a core in Miami and a core in Dallas, for new cores. And I'm sure some people on this call experienced a note from our support team, our success team, like, hey, we identified that you have these devices on these users manually provisioned, and we gave you instructions on how you can change that to make them fail over. Do you guys want to walk through that on this call real quick, since we're talking about that subject? Because I just saw Lee was like, hey, I had to manually provision, this device. You guys want to walk through
Sure.
that?
Eric, want to take lead?
Sure. Are you're looking, so you usually put in the proxy server that you're going to use. When you're using an SRV record, that's what you're using in place of choosing, for example, Core 1 Miami, Core 1 SJC, or Core 2, however you see fit. Rather than using that, you're actually going to use the SRV record. You're going to manually tell it that here is the SRV record. So it knows that if it fails to one core, it needs to roll to the other core and yet again to the next core. Does that make sense?
Is everybody following on here? And I think we
Yes.
have an article that kind of shows it, right?
Yeah,
If
I'm
I remember
hoping.
correctly.
Are you trying to pull that up, Jamie?
Yeah. Can
Because
you see it?
Yes.
And I think I'm trying to remember. It's under network redundancy, isn't it?
Yeah, let me pull it real quick.
Yeah, I believe they start with PBX1.
Right here. Here we go. Is this what I need?
Yes, PBX1
Yes.
-mia.ringlogics.com, and likewise PBX2-mia.ringlogics.com, so on and so forth. But those are SRV records. So
Yeah.
you're pointing to the PBX1 dash or PBX2 dash, but realistically it's saying, okay, I want you to go here first. If that fails, then you're going to roll to the next. And if that fails, you're going to roll to the next. So that is your SPF record.
Gotcha. And partners
Correct.
would do this in the actual device because that's how they had to register it, right?
That
So
is
they would
correct.
take these components, log into their devices if they've had to manually register them, and then making this change in the device would make it so that even though it's manually registered, it follows our SRV rules, right?
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Any
Mm,
questions, comments, concerns there?
Yeah, Mike. Okay. Maybe they didn't went deep down on it, but the DFW one, we used to have one, the Core 1 DFW. That's already decommissioned. It's not in place anymore. However, the SRV record, yes, the SRV record is good. The SRV record is good because it's going to point to the new core, which is Core 2 DFW. So we retired the old one, and then we inserted a new one. It's very similar, but instead of the one, it has a 2, and the same thing for the SRV record. Instead of PVX1 DFW, we removed that one and we updated the KB article to reflect the PVX2 DFW. So it's very similar, but yeah, all of those that you see right here will work just fine. We've tested it. We constantly are on the lookout just to see if something happened, but all of these that you see right here will work just fine.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mike, you can talk. Do you remember the time frame? Was that more recently? A couple weeks ago. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. And then Lee's saying Michelle at support
Yeah,
had him put the PBX number in front of the core,
Oh, I think he's talking about the
the
domain
domain.
number.
the domain number might have been, yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Cool, cool. So this, if you haven't ever seen this article, I link it in this training, but you might want to check this out too. So this is a pretty cool article, but you know, if you have to manually provision, which obviously, you know, isn't what we want you to do, it would be, are we going to cover Snap web failover as well? Do you guys want to talk about web and mobile failover? We can, David.
Yeah,
That's what
David,
this is for.
with the web phone, yeah, it should be automatic, right? The only time that we actually move the registration, because the registration is like, you know, when it comes to the web phone, the registration is automatic. If one goes down, then you'll experience a little blip, and then you'll be in a different core and so on, right? But if you are trying to, let's say, do a manual fix, like I want some of my clients to be in one area, some of my other clients to be in a different area for the web phone, yes, we can do that. We've done that before, but yes, the redundancy is made automatically when it comes to the web phone because it's they work with WebRTC. So as you know, the WebRTC is a different protocol than VoIP. However, we mix it up with VoIP, but WebRTC is very dynamic. It's just going to look for the actual records that we have on file, which in our case, it's the 3 cores that we have, and you know, it'll be just dancing around them in between the 3 of them.
Cool. Does that help?
Yeah, let me know if that makes sense or if it doesn't. I can extend a little bit more.
David, we get a thumbs up, or you want to chat, or can you talk? Yeah, that was good. Okay. Mike, just to answer your question, I
I'm
brought up
sorry.
this knowledge base. Oh, there
Can
you
you
go.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't know I was on mute. So the functionality of WebRTC is between the WebRTC host and the SIP or the core host, right? The PBX. There's nothing where if someone is isolated and they can't get to a particular say Miami or Dallas Fort Worth, where you geo locate them and send them to the closest
The closest
browser,
location. Yeah.
closest location. You're not doing that
Yeah, yeah.
for.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we are doing that because with service regions, right, Alejandro?
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're
So David,
trying
yeah, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. We're trying to do this the best way we can. The system does it automatically, of course, and we can check and we can look where the registration is being it's being taken place. However, if you feel like the service is not so reliable and that you would really like to move a certain section of your clients here and there when it comes to the web phone, yes, you can tell us, you can let us know, and we can try to do it sort of manually, right? It's not fully manually because even though that we move them around, then the system at some point, if the load is too high on some of the servers, this is just by default that they have a load balancing feature, right? And the load balancing feature will kick in as soon as some of the cores are very high on load, and then they will get redistributed. But with the service region and the automatic load balancing from the cores, yes, most of the users that you have, depending on the area they are, the phone will register to the core that is nearest to their area. But if you want to make sure that you know things happen in that way, yes, we can do that for sure. We've done that with Eric before.
Yeah, like David, I don't think you were on like our last tech support call, but like I actually showed an example, like a SIP sample of like a phone call that I personally made. And it was cool because it was an inbound call. So it showed it ringing all my devices in the SIP log. And I was actually in 2 different cores. So Alejandro was able to explain that like my desk phone was in core 1 Miami, but my UCM app was in like Dallas. And the reason that that happened was the automatic load balancing. So when, you know, Miami got too filled, I guess you would say, it actually moved those devices to another core to balance the load. So you can actually have like a user that has multiple devices be in different data centers because of the load balancing.
And it's pretty seamless, David. Your clients will not tell the difference. I can tell you that for sure. But like I said, if you want to have a different configuration, that's very doable as well. Just let us know, and we can customize it in the very same way that you want, for sure.
I believe we did that, David, didn't we? You and I?
Yeah, we moved myself to a different region, but we had to do it manually.
Yes.
And we
Yeah.
tried to,
Okay.
I tried to block all traffic to like Miami, and it wouldn't force a failover to San Jose or Dallas Fort Worth. So I was
Yeah.
trying to go through and find a way to force, so say the whole office couldn't reach Miami, how is that going to
Now,
maybe.
one of
If
go ahead, Alejandro. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Eric, sorry. If you are trying to do that, David, that's going to be a very tricky situation. And I'm telling you this because we attempted that before back in NetSapiens. I was with NetSapiens for quite a while, and we tried to do it there because there were some clients that wanted to do it like that, like fix like the web phone and everything. But the WebRTC is too dynamic, right? So you're going to be able to do it, but then at some point it's just going to move you around again. Now, um, if you want to block all of the rest of the requests, that's a little bit tricky because you're going to have to do it at a firewall level, and you're going to
Mhm.
have to do it if you have your servers. You're gonna have to do it at a server level. So if you have Ubuntu managing the machines within the LAN and your location, you're gonna have to do that there. So if you have a UFW, you're gonna have to do it at a UFW level. If it's Windows, then you're gonna have to do it either at your Windows firewall level. So there's plenty of layers that you have to do it in order for one not to bypass the other one. So it's a little bit tricky. And I wouldn't recommend it because sometimes the web phones would go down because in the same way, like I said, right, the load balancer will do its job of moving things around when the load is a little bit big. Um, and then you're going to be doing the job that you assign to the firewalls and the rest of the devices. When that happens, and then the server tries to register to a different server that you have blocked, then things are going to go down. And that's not the intention that we want here. I know what you're trying to do, but personally, I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, I'll do some
Yeah.
more tests with Eric. Thank you.
For sure. Yeah,
Perfect.
definitely.
Perfect. Cool. So these slides, why device provisioning is cool. Check them out. I won't go through them. Like I said, Alejandro and his team do a Tech 101 once a month. If you have anybody new, or somebody that you feel like could need a refresher, send them over that way. We do go over the basics of this. But I did want to start here, and so we could, get to where we just were. Those articles that we referenced, with the information that we gave you on if you have to manually provision, what you can change to make it so that you follow that redundancy plan. So these are just some basic troubleshooting tips that I included. I know that we're doing advanced, but I did want to have them in the slide presentation, so feel free to click on those. Alejandro, do you want to talk about advantages and disadvantages on this call of using a vendor management portal?
Yeah, sure.
Or
Well,
Eric, both of you?
yeah, sure. You want to take lead, Eric? I
Sure.
guess
I mean, a lot of people either use GDMS or YMCS, and it allows them to control, see which devices are online from their own private interface, if you will. For example, for Yelinks, we use our own YMCS server. So we can immediately see when a device is online or if it's up and running. Same with a Grand Stream. You can do the same thing, but it allows the reseller to provision devices with newer firmware. They know which are online, which are offline. However, disadvantage to that can be registration issues. For example, if the Yealink RPS server has an issue, it can keep that device from registering. That's difficult for us to see. and it has to be recognized on their end if they have their own private interface with the, the RPS server, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can't see anybody's heads nodding, but I'm thinking that it does, or we'd have some questions pop up. So cool. Anything you guys want to add on that topic, or is there any questions from the audience on that? No? Yes, no? Okay. We'll keep it moving. All right. Was there anything on, before we get into network versus VoIP here, was there anything on devices that you guys thought you were going to hear today that you didn't? Or do you have any questions about that?
I do have a question.
Sure.
Jamie.
Yeah.
As you know, we have hundreds of Yay links and deployed. For some reason, is there a way to prevent, I guess like individual customizations that we do on the phones to be resetted every time that the phone re-provisions?
I'm not sure I'm following you on that. What's happening now?
So for
Like, do you have like
example,
a picture
no,
or
no,
like a image?
not necessarily talking about the like the wallpaper and all that, the ringtones. Talking about like adding a second account or a third account to the phone for SIP registration every time. I mean, I added manually, but whenever the phone, turns off, turns back on, it
Oh,
forgets everything that I have and everything becomes disabled.
I see. You could try to do it with overwrites. Overwrites a good way to do it, but you would have to go into the Yailing page, look for the model, look if there is any let's say override so you can apply to the phone. That's the easiest way. I know that you've applied it somehow as well, right, Eric?
Yes. So override is just basically a statement that you are not to touch what I have provisioned on this phone already. But you would have to kind of cherry pick out those overrides for however you're trying to configure this phone. So that way, when it reboots, it knows I am not to delete or overwrite anything that you already have.
Yeah, I know you're right, and we've used that for paging mostly. But I'm
Okay.
talking about like SIP accounts, like second, third, fourth SIP account. It does become disabled after the phone comes back on.
All of the lines, right? The accounts that you have on the phones.
Yeah, except for the RingLogix one, but the rest of them become disabled.
Yeah, yeah. The overrides could help with that for sure.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And here's some, and what I'm showing here, if you guys can see the screen, these are some of the more popular overrides that we do put in the knowledge base here. And then, like the guy said, you can also check like Yay-Link's knowledge base or the phone vendor for overrides. We just put the most commonly used and like the values in here and examples on how you can put them on the lines, but this is what you're talking about, right? Like the different dial
Yeah,
plans.
like
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Oh, and you didn't mention firmware earlier, Alejandro, like checking the vendor. So you would just go directly to that vendor's website and look at the firmware releases. I meant to bring that up earlier when you talked about it.
Yeah, that's correct. You can go to the vendor page and then you look for the model, and then it'll give you all of the details of the model, like previous versions, previous releases, release notes, pretty much everything there. You will find it all of it in there. And there is a one more way to do it, Erwin, but that's like hard coded. You can actually go into the phone's GUI, and then you can actually do it yourself, like whatever line you want to fill up besides the one that you have for us, like the Relogix one, the first one. If you want to fill the rest of the lines with something more custom, depending on the user, you can actually go into the GUI, but that's more customizable and it's a little bit more time consuming, let's say. So if you want to have everything for your clients, you can also go into the Snap Builder and you can create a template. So that template you can apply to the whole domain, let's say. So if you have new phones, you can just apply apply the template and it'll apply them to all. And the next time that you do it, if you have applied the overrides, then it'll just, go to the rest of the devices. Yeah, just like Jamie's showing right here. So if you open up the phone, it'll open the Snap Builder, and then there you go. Then you have your templates button. And if you have created one, you can just click on apply template, but there's a drop down there. We don't have anything because there is no template, right? But you can actually select here the phone model that you want to apply it to, where do you want to apply it to, and all that. So it's pretty customizable. So if you have a lot of phones of the same model, that's very handy because you can actually just go there, create template, and within template you can actually add overrides and pretty much anything that you want. And next time that you want to apply it to all of your phones, then you just mass apply it and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, when it comes to that, I'll probably just admit to take it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, if you need additional help, the guys are more than welcome to yeah, we probably should have a Snap Builder class at one of these Tech Tuesdays too, and teach partners how to use Snap Builder a little bit better. I know there's a video in the knowledge base, but I think some hands-on training would be pretty cool. So maybe that's an idea for like our next one or something like that, right? Just
And
walking
this
through Snap Builder.
session, the next sessions are going to be a lot more fun for sure.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff. All right, well, let's get on then. Let me go grab my presentation again. This is another, I grabbed this from 101 just because it's relevant. But we often, think of network and VoIP. I want you guys to know they're both good guys, but sometimes they end up battling each other in a way, like both are needed. But we want to talk about why we check your network. I hear from I talk to a lot of partners, every single day. And, sometimes the consensus is like, you guys keep blaming the network, right? Or they told me it was the network. And we don't tell you that as a cop out. It's usually, right? I mean, Eric, how many calls do you get or tickets do you get that you're checking on things and it ultimately is something's
Quite a
going on
few.
with the network? Yeah,
Quite a
right?
few. Yeah. The network is usually one of the largest suspects when you're troubleshooting VoIP, period. It's an ALG or the firewall's not passing certain information, or the devices on that LAN are not responding in a timely manner or in a correct manner, or maybe they're not even receiving those invites or those messages going to the device, which of course it goes back to an ALG on the network. But network is usually always the prime suspect to begin with.
Cool. Now, Alejandro, we took some SIP examples of, and we'll move through how to pull a SIP log, but you gave me an example of a problem that was SIP and then a problem that was network, right? And I left these here because we're going to get a little bit more into components of a SIP log. But the reason that we ask you for the information that we do when you're reporting an issue, typically when we're pointing you to it being a network issue, we're not using like a feeling or like our gut, right? We're using data, right? So when we ask for a call sample and then it comes, we analyze that and come back to you with network, this is not a guess, right? We're using actual data that from the call that was weird that you gave us the sample to actually diagnose whether it's phone or network, right? So I just kind of wanted to show that and like leave it in here for you for a minute. Because the guys, probably the biggest culprit, right? I would say 9 out of 10 times, and is SIP ALG. So the guys kind of wanted to go over with you, identifying how, like if SIP ALG is present. So do you guys want to talk about these pictures, and let me know if you want me to get into the platform. I'll be more than happy to grab a sample or something if you want. So.
Sure. Yeah, if the pictures provided are basically showing no SIP ALG on the top, or no, that's actually a bad example because that's 254 UCM. That's Acrobits.
Okay, do you want me to get into it? You want me to get in here and get one?
Well, yeah, if you could log into the dashboard and let's show you the easy way.
Okay, let's do it. Is my phone line okay?
Yeah, you can go to your user and then click on the phones tab.
Okay.
So the easiest way of doing this is if you mouse over, for example, 229, the second one down, her Yealing phone. If you mouse over that IP address, it should always show an internal IP address at the top. If that 192.168.4.33 instead showed the same external IP of 173.90.19.79, all bets are off the table. That means there is an ALG on that network. You cannot troubleshoot beyond that because the amount of issues an ALG on the network can cause are without end. I mean, it's just a plethora of issues. BLF, one-way audio, calls not continue ringing. It's just on and on and on. So that is job one when you're experiencing an issue. Always mouse over the IP address of the problematic phone and make sure that ALG is off. And
gotcha.
Yeah, that stands true if you have different external IP addresses. You want to check multiple devices to see if their ALG is off as well.
Yeah, you should always see the same thing, the public IP versus the private IP. So that's like a law, let's say.
Correct.
Gotcha. So gang, like it's super, I mean, we give you an ALG detector, right? Like, I mean, when we go through onboarding, if you don't know where it is, I'm going to show you. But what the guys are saying is like, did you see how quick I just logged in, went to my user, hovered over top of it? If it's identical, right, is what you're saying, then SIP ALG is on.
Correct.
If it's showing the internal IP, it's off, and then we can move on with other troubleshooting efforts. And then, but there is a SIP ALG detector that you can also run on networks, but they just gave you a super quick, easy way you can do that without running it. But if you're doing, your network checks, things like that, there is a detector. Of course, let's see. I'm just going to search and cheat. There we go. Boom, pops right up. So here's the detector, the client-based and the web-based, but they just showed you a super easy trick on how to uncover that just right in the portal. Boom. Any questions, comments on that? No? Cool stuff? Usable stuff? Anybody? Fun stuff?
Definitely usable, yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
one added note, for example, I work remotely sometimes and I had, 3-4 phones here, and I had SIP ALG enabled. And, I'm a VoIP engineer. I should know better than that. But it never affected me. So there was never really, I've got to dig into it and find out what's going on. But I added a fourth phone. And the minute I did that, that's when the ALG raised its ugly head and started causing issues with my BLFs and losing registrations. So one thing that you can never trust is an ALG. It has to be disabled. It doesn't matter if it's enabled and, hey, I haven't experienced a problem. Well, you're headed for one. So it must be disabled.
Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff. Now, this is identifying SIP ALG in the actual packet capture, right? In the SIP log. Eric
Correct.
gave this. It's a Google reference, but it's just showing you, you know, similar experience of what, you know, we just saw. We're going to get into, you know, we've had a lot of good stuff going on and a lot of good questions. So we're a little behind in the content, but this is in your packet for you. And then the guys also, as far as identifying SIP ALG in the actual SIP log, this was an example they gave of a call. It looks like that was it on Lenny's phone? Here?
Lenny's phone.
Yeah, Lenny's phone. Yeah, but
So
if you notice the contact or the C line shows the internal IP address, that's as it should be. If that line showed an external IP address, then again, that's ALG. That's not a good thing.
Cool, cool.
So there are several ways to check it for sure.
But once again, and guys, we're not expecting, you know, we were going to do like kind of like a how to read a SIP log type thing. We want to do this for you though. You know, we just want you to know that this is what we use those call samples for. Like this is factual data that is in the samples that we asked for that help you resolve these issues quickly. But if you can identify it, you already kind of have an idea. You can save a phone call, save a ticket, you know, get it disabled on your router, your modem, and be on your way, you know. Alejandro, you were going to say something?
Yeah, and we ask for a call trace, and you might be wondering like why a call trace, right? Why not just go into the phone and the user and everything? And it's because it takes a little bit more time. You can give us the let's say timestamp, and then we can go to the timestamp, and then we can go to the user and check if ALG is on. But it's a lot quicker if you just tell us, hey, this happened from this number to this number on this let's say timestamp, and then we can go there, we can pull up the SIP log. And within the SIP log, we can pretty much see everything. We can see the devices. You can see at the top there on those white little boxes, you will see that the extensions that actually rang. We can see in the SIP trace if that went to an auto attendant, if that went to a call queue, if it went through an auto attendant and then a call queue, if it was just directly to the call queue, if it was a DID that it was associated to a user directly. So we can see pretty much everything that you can imagine within the call trace. The call trace will tell us from the very inception until the very end. So we can see pretty much every single thing in the call trace. We can see it in the invites and the responses from the phone. So that's why we always ask you for a call trace. That's the reason why, right? So every time that you wonder, like, why are these guys asking for a call trace? This is so, upsetting. Like, what's going on? Next time you will know that it's because we are looking at the AP, we're discarding CPLG, we are doing so. It's like a whole checklist that we do, right? So every single trace that we check is like, is ALG on? No. Okay, next step. Is this on? Is this happening? Is it an inbound? Is it an outbound? And depending on every single thing, the ramifications for it is just very infinite, let's say, just like Eric said. But this is the reason why.
Yes, very important. And I'm assuming everyone knows how to share this trace.
Well, if they don't, Eric, guess what? I'm gonna I put it in here because of course, I know we've talked about this before. We'll come back to components, but there's clear examples just for the sake of time on where you can locate the trace, right? And I've given you detailed pictures in here, but we'll really, really quickly just hop back into the portal and grab one, right? So we'll walk through it on this call. It'll be recorded, but you're going to head over to call history.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And here's all the calls in our RingLogix PBX today. We're going to click on SIP flow and boom, you have the share button. It copies it right to the clipboard. You then copy it into the space provided in the ticket and shoot it over and we'll do the rest for you.
Yeah, it's the same thing as doing a copy and paste. And the important part is if someone calls in and says, hey, Eric, I had a bum call this morning from this number. Well, that's great material, great information. But what's important is you guys provide us with the actual SIP trace. Why? Because Eric can go in there and look for that call. And if I pluck the wrong one, I'm going to waste an hour, 2 hours trying to troubleshoot something that is not problematic. But if you provide the trace or share the trace, that is the exact call. There is no, that's foolproof. What you're sending me was your problematic call, and that's it. The job is done at that point.
And even if you don't tell us the timestamp or anything, we can grab it from the actual call trace. The call trace will tell us the time, and it'll tell us pretty much every single thing.
Exactly.
And Richard asked, which I think is good to clarify too. And Richard, no apologies necessary. Snap Mobile and Acrobat should show the same external address, right? When you're doing the hover, like how we just looked at my line. So here, we'll go back to here real quick to answer this. So when we looked at the screenshot, right, and you said, well, that's not a good one because that's your UCM phone, right?
Well, it depends if you're using Wi-Fi, if you're connected to your data on your phone. It all depends. So it can swing one way or the other. But
so mine, I'm on my Wi-Fi right now. This is me right now today on my UCM device, and I'm on my Wi-Fi. So that's showing my IP for my Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah. So that's showing as you should. However, we don't we have our doubts when it comes to Acrobats, UC Plus, and all of those mobile apps, because for example, when it comes to the mobile app or any other mobile app, if you're on data, then the data will show us the same IP. It's not an indication of ZIP-ALG. Why?
correct.
Because you know that this is just mobile data. It's just in the mobility, the technology for mobility, 4G and all of those things, they don't necessarily need CPLG in order to work, because that let's say that technology is deprecated on those, and that is why it's a little bit more trickier for us to see it. However, we ask for a different type of information when it comes to mobile apps and all that. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't, then in the future you will see that we ask for different information. And it's because of the same reason, because the technologies are not the same. But when it comes to Wi-Fi, all of those residential services that we all get, then yes, because those might some of those devices, that the older ones or the newer ones, some of those have it still, but not every device has it. Sure.
Does that help,
Correct.
Richard?
Oh no, think.
Jared, you're welcome, Richard. Jared, what do you mean is Acrobat similar to Snap Mobile in what regard? Like that they're mobile apps, or are you talking about features?
Yeah, just the mobile app feature. Do they work the same?
They
Do
work,
we know?
and go
Do
to,
we
we're
know?
gonna so we're gonna put out like a comparison model for you. Like I said, it's kind of soft launched right now. You can download it, but I'll get you a comparison model. But
Okay,
yeah,
because
features are pretty comparable. Yeah.
okay. I just want to test it out too.
Yeah, go ahead. You can get in there and test it out today. In the knowledge base, go to hosted PBX UC Plus, gives you all the instructions to download it. Pricing is TBD, it's coming. But right now we're letting you, while it's still in this phase, play with it for free. So go in there and check it out. You can download it today now. It's not the beta app either. It's the production app. We're just not charging for it right now, which it highlights in the very first article that you look at.
And can you tell us the difference about that? I know that doesn't belong in this part of the conversation, but later.
Yeah, well, we're almost done today, but if you go look at the knowledge base article, Ken, I think it talks a lot about some of the differences, but I'm gonna have a comparison sheet that'll actually get uploaded to the knowledge base.
Okay.
If that helps. All right. Cool. Good. All right. So I know I don't want to keep everybody too long. You will get this deck. So we'll talk about, this shows the PCAP. But one of the big things we wanted you to notice is some terminology in SIP logs, right? Most importantly, right, when you see these numbers, right, 200s, right, those are good, right? 200s are good. 400s are bad, right? So 400s are where you're getting the unauthorized, the 404s. Like I said, we have discussed about we've gone back and forth with SIP logs, right? Do we teach partners how to read SIP logs? Do we, some partners want to know how to read SIP logs, but we kind of came to the general consensus that we don't necessarily want you to read a SIP log. You should definitely be able to identify certain components of it, but more importantly, where to find it, how to get it to us, and then let us read it, right? Our team are experts. They've taken, SIP training. They're certified in this to read these. So we don't want you to bear the weight of that. Just know how you get it, how you copy it into a ticket, and why we're asking for it. It's the data that's inside of it that we're going to read at the end of the day. So sorry, I'm a little bit over. Do you guys have anything you want to follow up with on SIP logs or PCAPs or anything? Eric, Alejandro?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let the
Cool.
guys do the talking. If you have questions, we can go from there, guys. But
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to close out the presentation with just showing you the inbound and outbound flow of a call, because I think this is like really, really important to highlight. Everywhere like something could go wrong, right? Because, when a call comes in or goes out from point A to point B, there's several steps. And once again, just drilling home that us getting a SIP trace from you helps us pinpoint where the potential issue is in this flow. So I just always think it's good to throw this in there. You'll get the resources, the knowledge-based articles, the RingLogix U courses, but we'll take the extra couple minutes, and if anybody has any questions that they want to ask away. And I hope you guys enjoyed this and it was helpful.
Jamie, are you emailing that to us?
Yeah, so actually I don't personally do it, but I think it looks like I do. But Gabriella hooks me up, and she does once downloads, she'll hook you up and send you the recording and this presentation. Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, it's automated. I don't really do all the work, Jared, I promise.
I would have taken credit for it, Jamie.
I can't. Gabriella hooks me up too hard, so cool,
I
cool,
have a
cool.
question for the technical guys.
Yeah.
Is there any tool for us to use when we have customers complaining that we got some voice quality issues, call drops, chatter?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any tool that we could do first respondent stuff before we come to you guys?
The most important tool there is really Wireshark, Jared, but it really kind of requires you to have in-depth knowledge of how to read the trace and how to look for jitter and packet drops and things of that nature. But those are the tools that we use. QoS is, while it's more of a visual indication, it's not 100% accurate, or it's not going to tell you what's wrong with a call. Wireshark, something that can read the trace and read through all the packets, gives you a more in-depth view of it, and you can kind of pinpoint where your issue is. But again, you have to be really well versed in Wireshark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Jared, if you want to get basics, SIP ALG, right? Start there always, right? Because like Alejandro said earlier, it can wreak havoc on a call in so many different ways that I think checking to see if that is present or not first. And if it is, turning it off and then testing again. But, checking that and at least knowing that it's on or off before, and then getting with us and getting us a trace would probably be quickest route, right, to resolution, Alejandro?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, Alejandro, I think
100%.
you're,
I was on mute.
oh, there
I
you
was
go.
on
I
mute,
think you
sorry.
went out for a minute there. You were
Yeah,
talking, but no words were coming out.
I was on mute. Sorry, guys. There is one more thing, Jared. There's one more thing. We have analyzed your needs, and trust me that here at RenLogix, what we work on is everything you need and everything to make your job a lot easier and your day a lot easier. And I know, Jared, that you're asking this because sometimes your clients are going to ask, "Hey, what's going on? You know, this didn't used to happen here or there, and etc." Right? And you want
Right.
to prove to them that things are different or that things are okay on our side or on everybody's side. So if you want to, let's say, prove to them that the actual issue is with their network or the way that it's configured and whatnot, what we're doing now in the tickets is that we're attaching every single proof that we have, any technical proof that we have, very ordered. We start with the call trace, the problem that you described us, and we're trying to take that scheme and that structure, let's say, and add it into the ticket so you are aware, like you or everybody who is handling the ticket is aware of what the problem is, right? Like I said, we try to go through the checkpoints and we try to go through the check boxes here, like this is happening, this is not happening, and so on. And then we put it into the ticket and we tell you what's going on, where the problem is, and we try to highlight it. So, you know, we are going to do the legwork for you, all of this Wireshark and whatnot. That job is going to be on us, let's say. So if you want any validation or if you want to, you know, get this information to your client or just forward it, you know, if you don't want to do anything and just forward the information to your client, or if they have a local IT that you can actually forward that information to, just ask us that, right? I need the answer as detailed as possible with as much technical detail as possible, and then we will know that you're actually requesting that, and we will send you very good detailed information of the within the actual reply, let's say, and we will put everything. We will break it down for you as granularly as possible, and then so you can just forward it to whoever you need to forward.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And I'll pitch Alejandro's Tech 101 tomorrow. If you have any new people, it's happening tomorrow at 2:00. It's the basics of this. So if you have anybody new, anyone that you think needs a refresher, feel free to join
Yeah.
Alejandro and Marlon tomorrow. I'm going to be on, but I'll try to stay silent, even as hard as that is for me. I'm going to try my best. And
Yeah, I wanted to get
but
Eric, but yeah,
yeah.
we need him on other places. So sorry, guys.
Hey,
Cool. And
Jamie,
Gabriella just put the registration in there. Yeah.
for the Tech Tuesday, do you guys have a calendar, or how do we know there's,
We
there's
send
an
out
event coming?
Gabriella's gonna get mad at you, Jared. So there's 3
Mhm.
invites that go out, right? So Gabriella builds the landing page and we send at least 3 notifications to your email. Typically it's the second Tuesday of every single month. So if you want to be on the lookout for that, the holiday is screwing up the schedule slightly. But typically Tech Tuesday is the second Tuesday of the month, which I think we landed on this month. And then Alejandro's his Tech 101 is a monthly same content training session that's going to happen once a month. And I think moving forward, it's going to be like the 3rd Wednesday of every month. But that's typically how our marketing schedule rolls is I'm second Tuesday of the month, Alejandro's 3rd Wednesday. And then we typically do a big webinar the last Thursday of every month. But Thanksgiving and Christmas will probably be nixing those for these next 2 months.
Okay.
So yeah, that's beyond. But if you're not signed up for the marketing email, and you want to be, Jared, send me a note in my email to remind me, and we'll have Gabriella check that and make sure you're signed up for those notifications.
Okay. Will do.
Anybody else too? Like not just Jared, that's open for everyone. If you think you're missing out on things, let us know and we'll check in our CRM and make sure you're signed up for marketing events. Okay. Cool. Anything else? No? Well, thanks for staying. Thanks for the extra time. We appreciate it. And Alejandro and Eric, we're gonna have to work on Snap Builder next. I feel like people
Mhm.
Oh,
the
yeah.
people want
Can do.
All
Yeah,
right,
for
guys.
Sure.
What?
Thank you guys for
Thank
your
you all.
time.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
so much. Have a great one.
Okay, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.